Okay. What's going on, everybody? Now we're not muted. Blazers made a trade today, and it's for a familiar face. It's for Enes Kanter, and we teased this trade on the draft day stream, and it happened. Mario Hezonja is gone. I know a lot of you are happy about that. I kind of, I'm kind of the same way. And now we got our backup center, and we only have one rotation spot left to fill. I said going into this offseason, we needed to fill two big men spots with our traded player exception, our mid-level exception, and our biannual exception. We just used our traded player exception to absorb Enes Kanter's salary. We got rid of Mario Hezonja's salary just as part of the deal. We didn't even need to trade him in order to match salary. It's just part of the deal. We got rid of him. So that's a win. We're going to be able to standard the tax and use our full mid-level exception at this point. And we will have a full rotation. We need one power forward. We either needed two power forwards or one power forward and one center going into this offseason. And we got our backup center. So it looks like Zach Collins is either going to be the starting forward or the backup forward, depending on the other type of forward we get. We've been linked to Paul Millsap. Who knows?
There's a slight possibility they're worried about his injury situation. That could also come into play. Maybe he won't be ready.
Maybe they make a depth play, but I think Nas can step in and be ready. Mm-hmm. So this means Hassan Whiteside is likely gone.
We're gonna sign and trade him still.
No, we're not. I don't have the energy to take your troller right now, Eric.
I'm not trolling. That's like all I've seen on Twitter today. So who can we get in a sign and trade now?
I know. It's all bad. No, that's not gonna happen. But we got the replacement, so that's good. I'm still kind of waking up. Eric called me in the middle of my sleep, and I had a hard time sleeping. I had a hard time falling asleep, and then I finally fell asleep, and then I slept for about an hour. So I'm still waking up. I'm going to need to go up to the neighborhood gas station, give me some Monster Energy at some point. This will be a different stream from our actual draft day stream. Or not draft day. See, I can't talk. This is me not waking up. I keep saying draft. Yeah, this stream will be different than our free agency stream. All right? So it'll probably be like a 40-minute stream or something. We'll just talk about Enes Kanter's return to Portland. Do you want to we kind of know what Enes Kanter brings, right? Unless you only started watching the team this past season, you kind of know what Enes Kanter brings. But I don't know, Eric. Give us a 40-minute breakdown, bro.
So Apples, thanks for the dono. He says his free agency in a couple hours. It starts at 3 Pacific. So in about hour and 40 minutes is when teams can technically start talking to free agents. It always happens to where they talk before. I'd be surprised if, like last year, a bunch of signings get leaked before 3 o'clock because of the stricter tampering rules. But we've already heard some stuff with the Milwaukee Bucks pursuing free agents already. So they were already screwing up with the sign and trade mishap, and now with leaking about trying to sign people early. So they might be in a lot of trouble since they're already being investigated. But I think it's going to be like right after 3, you'll start to hear some stuff, and it's always BS because there's no way you could call someone at 3 o'clock and agree to a deal by like 3:01, unless it's maybe like the Hood situation where we had kind of a deal or arrangement with him prior to that. But this Kanter trade, so we talked about this. If you watched our stream last night, we have about approximately $27 million, not in cap space, but in exceptions and different ways to sign players if we want to stay under the tax line.
I can actually bring that up if you want.
It's another thing. Yeah, we can add Kanter to that now since we know for sure.
Mm-hmm. Unless we trade him again.
This is the other thing I've had to deal with all morning. I'm choosing not to respond to any of these people, but several Portland media members are like, if they don't go deep into the tax or get hard capped and go right up to the hard cap line, this team just doesn't want to win in Dame's prime and all this stuff. And it's like, what are you talking about? Okay, it's one thing to just spend like crazy because you have the money or whatever, but it's another thing to do it irresponsibly. And we've outlined several ways, and this trade helps us achieve that, to get a very deep team without having to go into the tax. And if they do have to go into the tax, it better be for someone very worth it. Like, that trade better be for someone that's a huge upgrade in the lineup. Otherwise, I feel like we can get a better roster than we could have gotten going into the tax without going into the tax. So I feel like that's just irresponsible by people to be like, because I saw this today. If the Blazers aren't deep into the tax, every fan needs to question why they're not spending money on this team or whatever.
We don't have to spend tax money to put together a good team, yeah. But what does Enes Kanter bring?
So Kanter brings, not the greatest defense. Although I will say, in Stott's scheme, he is a but a solid defensive big man for Stotts' scheme, because he doesn't really have to do much. And dropping the big allows he's decent at dropping. He's not great rim protection wise, but he's a solid rebounder, especially like per minute. He boxes out, so we became a better rebounding team than we did with Hassan. He can score better, like he's got a better offensive package than Hassan does. Even though Hassan shoots a higher percentage, Kanter is much more skilled offensively. He doesn't chase blocks like Hassan does, so he's in position well. And that's sometimes all you need, is just guys who do the right things and are in position, right? You don't necessarily need someone to average like 4 block shots a game or whatever. But this isn't like a huge upgrade for Portland compared to some of the other options they could have gotten. But for getting him for free, basically, and also getting rid of Mario's contract, I think this is about as good as you could do. Because, so Kanter makes $5 million.
I've slotted him in here.
Yeah. And Hezonja made just under $2 million. So we basically only used $3 million of that 27 to go into to get Hezonja off the roster and to get Kanter on the team. So now it comes into play where we can use the full mid-level exception, the biannual exception, and re-sign Hood and stay under the tax, I believe. It's going to be close depending on what we re-sign Hood for, but I think that comes into play now where we can use all 3 of those avenues and have a super deep team.
It's probably not going to be all that close, actually, if you're talking about...
It'd be close if we gave like Hood $10 million or something, but...
Well, let's look at this, all right? So I have Kanter. I have everything calculated, all right? So if we've made this trade for Kanter. If we use the full mid-level exception, we re-sign Hood for $10 million, which is probably more than he's going to make, but let's just say $10 million. We re-sign Gabriel for $2 million, and then we sign 2 minimum contract guys. We're still $3 million under the tax. If one of those guys is CJ Ellaby, then we're $3.5 million under the tax. And that's with resigning Hood for probably more than he's going to get. I think he's going to get more like $8 million. We'd be over $5 million under the tax. So we have some breathing room. We're going to be able to use our full mid-level exception no matter what. I think we're going to be able to bring back Rodney Hood no matter what.
And then we can use our biannual too, because that's $3.7 million. So that fits right in there. That's perfect.
Yeah, this could be 3.7. If we paid Hood 10, which is the most we can pay him and more than he's going to get, we use the full biannual exception, we'd still be able to be under the tax. So we can use our mid-level exception and our biannual exception and re-sign Rodney Hood and probably Wenyen Gabriel and still be under the luxury tax line. So honestly, as far as the moves we have at our disposal that are realistic moves, we honestly don't even have to worry about the luxury tax when projecting what could happen today and for the rest of free agency, because
we can't sign Hood for more than $10 million, right? That's the most we can sign him for.
Yep.
So yeah, it's not possible unless because there's no way we sign Whiteside back. So sign and trade Whiteside, like someone just suggested in chat. That would be the only way if somehow we pulled off a sign and trade. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but like people just think we can just decide to sign and trade Whiteside. It's not how it works. The other team has to want Whiteside, agree to terms with him, and then work out a trade with us. We can't just call a team and say, hey, would you like Whiteside for this money so we can get back Gordon Hayward or Kevin Love or whatever. That's not
Yeah,
how
granted, if a team goes to sign him, we could maybe, hopefully, get that team to be willing, you know what I mean? Like, and work out some 3-team trade. I'm not saying that it 100% isn't going to happen. It's not something you should plan for. But if a situation arises where a team wants Whiteside and they're willing to work it out so that we can trade Whiteside to them, and then maybe we can get a player from a third team. Maybe you could sort something like that out. That gets kind of convoluted and complicated, but we do have the breathing room to potentially, mess around with something like that. I don't know. Let me just say this though. It's not a 100% guarantee that we keep Kanter. We could flip Kanter
Since we absorbed him using an exception, we can aggregate his contract or trade him right away. So we can combine him with other players to get someone else now. I don't know if we're going to or not, but it's
unlikely
like we're talking with the Ilyasova trade.
Yeah, it's unlikely that we do that, but it's unlikely that we combine him at least. But we could potentially flip him for a player. If we trade him outright, he's making what, $5 million, you said?
Yeah.
We could bring back a player making almost $9 million, $8.85 million-ish. So maybe, I don't know. We'll probably keep him, but it's just a possibility that is on the table. Yeah, but he fills the backup center role. So, I mean, we got our backup center. He wasn't necessarily my first choice as a backup center, but I'm fine with it. I would have rather had more of a rim protector, but Zach, I think, is a good fit next to him off the bench. We just got to go get that starting power forward. I just don't know. A bench of... What were you going to say?
I was going to say, a lot of my concerns about Kanter were pre him playing on this team, but once I saw him play on this roster, I mean, he absolutely stepped up. He had a hurt shoulder too, which limited how effective he was deeper into the Western Conference Finals and stuff. But he absolutely stepped up when we needed him in that playoffs, and just knowing that he's capable of doing that in Stott's system already makes me a little less worried about some of his deficiencies. Whereas, if we just traded for him now and he didn't play for us that year, I would be really worried. What are we doing? We don't need an offensive center. We need a defensive center. But he's not good defensively, but he was average to okay enough to not have to bench him or anything defensively when he played for us, at least.
Yeah. So is a bench unit of CJ, Trent, Hood, Collins, and Kanter a top 5 bench though?
I mean, I think to me that bench isn't it's not going to be the highest scoring bench in the league, but it also, I feel like they're all good enough to where you're not going to blow leads or have it's just going to be solid and solid enough. I don't know if it's super good, but I feel like it's good enough to accomplish what we need to.
Yeah, man, people giving me crap for not being awake in the chat, man. I cut my sleep short just to stream for you guys, so don't give me crap about it. I'm trying to wake up. I need to go get some Monster. I need to get some energy drinks. My sleep is too much sleep one night, not enough sleep the next night. My sleep's weird. So, yeah,
listen real quick on to that point. Tori was still sleeping. He was questioning whether he wanted to do it, and then decided he wanted to come on for you guys. So don't get.
I literally spent all night working on the graphics for the free agency stream for you guys. So I worked for hours on the free agency graphics. Hopefully you'll enjoy them. But that's why I'm tired right now, and I cut my sleep short for this. So Eric convinced me. I was like, nah, man, we'll talk about free agency stream. The timing's weird. Why couldn't Olshey just wait another 2 hours to do this? You know what I mean? Why do I have to do this right now? But he did it right now, so we won't let for you guys. Yeah, definitely not faded. I don't do that. Yeah, I'm just tired. What do you want to talk about now? I don't know.
So just to let everyone know what the trade was. So Boston gets future draft consideration from Memphis. I don't know what that means. probably like a couple seconds or something. And Memphis ended up with Mario Hezonja and the 30th pick in the draft, which ended up being Desmond Bane. And we ended up with Kanter.
The one part that bumps me out is if we kept Mario, we could have had the 30th pick.
Yeah, I'll have to see what Memphis's draft consideration ends up being, because if it was like a future first or something, or a protected first, then that might not be good.
I doubt they. Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, Memphis and Boston on draft night agreed to trade the 30th pick and Enes Kanter to Memphis for future considerations. And then I heard this morning that the considerations or something happened with the trade to make it possibly fall apart, but that the person who reported that didn't think it was going to fall apart, but they might need to rework the trade or get another team in there. And so that's when Portland stepped in and took Kanter. So on the Rocco trade stream, we talked about how Boston could possibly trade Enes Kanter and salary dump him like they did with Aaron Baines last year with either the 26th or the 30th pick, and that's exactly what they did.
Yep. And it's funny because we were talking about this trade a lot on the draft stream about how we could bring back Enes Kanter. He'd fill a spot of need. He'd be pretty cheap. Didn't think it actually happened, but yeah, it's kind of weird to bring back a player this soon after they left. Watch, now we're going to go side Harkless, man. And it's just going to be just rewinding the clock. I need to unsubscribe from tweet notifications from everybody except for like the Shams, Haynes, all those guys, because I got a tweet notification from like the Niners Twitter page. Like, I don't need that right now, not today, not for the rest of the season even. Like, yeah, it's Ben Third says it's hilarious how podcasts affect these deals. Hollinger and Duncan were confused why Portland didn't get in on this trade last night, and it happened today.
Has nothing to do with the podcast.
Yeah, Bryce Tenney, $5 donation, appreciate it, bro.
Also, Aiden had a $5 donation, said smoking on Mario Hezonja.
Oh, my bad, did I miss it?
Yeah, we got it.
But yeah, I mean, we don't have to worry about him playing over Lil next season. That'll be nice. I hated that whole thing last year.
We will have early bird rights on Kanter because he'll be on the second year of his deal. So, yeah, we could re-sign him rather easily next summer, too, unlike last offseason. Yeah. I'm guessing that's just going to depend on how he plays. Yeah. One thing is there were times this season where he didn't even play on Boston. So he got kind of sporadic minutes. Sometimes he would get like quality minutes, and then like it would go several stretches where he barely played or didn't play at all. So I think this doesn't necessarily change the fact that we could still upgrade our center position and not really play Kanter that much. I don't know if we would have traded for him, because from what I heard, he opted in only because only when he found out that Portland was a possibility, because he thought that was a good position for him to land. He didn't like his fit with Memphis or something. I think that's why the trade almost got held up. So he wanted to go to a place where he actually had a chance of playing even as a backup. But yeah, I mean, we got a backup center now. It's not Whiteside, which is good. I was really scared that we were going to give Whiteside like $17 million a year.
Oh, bro, yeah. Honestly, okay. People are too hard on Neil Olshey. Let me just say that, man. Like, he was hamstrung by his mistakes in 2016, but like, he made mistakes in 2016, like we all know that. But the thing is, like, half the league did, and giving out just a ton of money to, like, Timofey Mozgov got $16 a year, Bismack Biyombo got $17 million a year, Luol Deng in 2016 got $17 million a year, and he was like 2 years away from retirement. You had so many guys just get overpaid that offseason. Like, okay, a bunch of the league made a mistake there, and Olshey was kind of had his hands tied, and last offseason, he made a bunch of moves, some risky moves that people wanted. Flipping Evan Turner for Kent Bazemore was a good trade on paper. Didn't really work out. Kent Bazemore underachieved here. And then once we traded him to Sacramento, he did a lot better in Sacramento than he did here. But that trade for Ariza played great here. We got Wenyen Gabriel as well, who I think nobody knew other than like nerds like me when we got him. But he's a guy that people like now. And then we flip Ariza, and we make that aggressive kind of risky move. Ariza and 2 first-round picks for Robert Covington, which all the Neil Olshey haters have been saying, oh, that's the type of trade we need to do. Okay, we did it. Now we utilize our trade player exception, and how I heard so much this offseason from Olshey haters, like, we're not going to use our trade player exception. We didn't use the last one. You know what I mean? And
look at Golden State. They know how to use the trade exception, unlike us.
Yeah, and that was something that was being said about Golden State using the trade player exception to take on Kelly Oubre.
And real quick to your thing about the Ariza trade. So Olshey didn't just trade for Bazemore. He realized it wasn't working out with Bazemore and dealt him and got something different for him. And that ended up, like you said, turning into Rocco. So if he was a terrible GM, he would have just made that trade, sat on his butt, and just been like, oh, well, it didn't work out, whatever. But, like, he actually, went out, flipped him, and got something better for him. It was a shame that Ariza couldn't play in the bubble, but, that was a great trade. And, I like his moves. I liked all his moves last summer. I felt like he picked the right thing with Hood over Kanter. And then Kanter was kind of a little, I don't know what I want to say here without using a bad word, but he let's just call him fake. He's fake. Kanter's totally fake. He's all like, oh, home sweet home Portland, whatever, dude. Like, you were trashing Portland, and every city you go to is like the best city ever, and then the city you left is horrible. He trashed Westbrook when he was on the Blazers, and then the minute he left the Blazers, all of a sudden Westbrook was the greatest and Dame sucks and all that stuff. So he's definitely fake, but hopefully he has enough of a relationship with everyone on the team to like go back and it's kind of, if you don't take him seriously, it's not like a cancerous thing or anything. It's not going to be like a detriment to the team or anything like that. So
yeah, shout out Blazer Tay, 2K, $5 dono. He says, you trust Quick. I think he's trolling. We'll talk about it in a second. Yeah, basically, picking back up, my point is basically, I feel like Olshey was getting too much hate, and people were being ridiculous by expecting him to do nothing this offseason. He did a lot of moves last offseason. The off seasons before that, he was kind of like had his hands tied because he couldn't trade the contracts that he signed in 2016 because they had multiple years on them, right? So it's like all based on some mistakes in 2016. Just those mistakes in 2016 have somehow gotten people where they assume he's going to do nothing every offseason. And that doesn't make sense because there's reasons why he had quiet offseasons. But even then, like the Seth Curry signing was a really good bargain signing. The Rodney Hood trade, couple of seasons ago, you had even, I don't know, you've had moves and people act like he just sits on his hands, and it just hasn't made sense to me.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, a little bit of that, don't discount the Paul Allen effect. And Paul Allen, I'm never going to say anything bad about him. This isn't meant to be bad, because if I was the owner of a team, if Torrey was the owner of a team, we would absolutely want to play GM because it's our team, and we'd want to be the ones like making the team. Like, we'd probably fire a bunch of GMs because they wouldn't listen to us or whatever. But ever since Paul Allen passed away, Olshey has seemingly been freed up to make basketball decisions on what he wants to do versus having to also decide on which players to keep or trade or whatever with Paul Allen, which draft picks to trade. Because I don't see Paul Allen giving up 2 draft picks for a Rocco or whatever, because he loves the draft and always wanted to be a part of it. But Jody, he basically goes to him and say, hey, here's why I think we should do this. It would cost this much. Do you approve it or whatnot? And from everything he said up until, things went south last season, they've they've seemingly said that Jody's been willing to do whatever Neil wants, basically. So
Yeah.
I feel like that freed him up to like kind of make his own decisions. But yeah, I don't blame Paul Allen for any of that because like I'd treat it as my own toy if I had a team as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the reason they're in Portland, so like you can never say anything bad about him.
And I don't know how to say that. And O says, what channel is the NBA free agency stream? That'll be on this channel starting a little bit in about an hour. It's 1:42 Pacific time. We're starting at 2:45 Pacific time. That'll be a different stream. We got 400 people in here. I hope you guys stick around and watch our free agency stream. We got cool graphics for it, and we'll break down every signing, not just focus on the Blazers. We're going to focus on the entire NBA, all the signings that happen. Of course, we'll focus more on a Blazer signing if it happens, which we got to talk about right now because you have Serge Ibaka in a plane tweeting out, on my way to ... Jason Quick retweets it, and Casey Holdall tweeted 3 minutes ago in all caps, "Oh boy," with a question with an exclamation mark. That basically. And now you have a bunch of Blazer fans saying, "Oh my goodness, we're getting Serge Ibaka." Let's not overreact to that, but that would be phenomenal if that happened.
Dude, Ibaka or Millsap today? Yeah.
Here's the tweet that Jason Quick retweeted. But, like, bro, Jason Quick could retweet that because he knows it'll get Blazer fans talking. He might not know anything. There's so many situations that Jason Quick doesn't know anything about. Portland's front office is tight-lipped.
It is possible that, like, I'm not familiar with, like, planes and stuff, like private jets, but maybe they noticed something that being, like, a Blazer private jet
I don't know.
Something. No, I'm just goofing. But yeah, I could totally see Hold On Quick trolling just to get clicks. But yeah, let's talk about real quick the free agency impact. So we don't need a center now, obviously. So I think the focus has to be power forward, unless we're not gonna. If we don't re-sign Hood, then we have to get like a Harkless or a Holiday. Or someone like that to fill Hood's role, in addition to still needing a power forward probably. But in that case, then we probably just bring back Melo. But Whiteside, resign Whiteside for power forward. Yeah, no, that's not happening. But with Kanter being the center, I think it's more important to go after a defensive power forward versus an offensive one. I mean, obviously you want one that's good at both. I know Gallo's underrated defensively, but I would choose Millsap over a Gallinari in this situation now that we have Kanter. The offensive side of the ball isn't as important in my opinion.
Yeah, so now you got people saying, look at the colors on the jet that Serge Ibaka is on.
Yep. I call that.
So this is fun. Yeah, we'll see what happens with this. If a Serge Ibaka signing breaks, we'll talk about it on our free agency live stream, which we have like up on our YouTube page already. We have it scheduled for an hour from now. So save that link or whatever. Just come back, tune in with the channel. We'll tweet out the link to that on our Twitter page at Blazers Uprise YT. Subscribe and you can get a notification to that because we're going to be streaming NBA free agency. We got phenomenal graphics for it. I leaked the graphics, so I'll give you guys a sneak peek. But we will have the Twitters of the three main guys, Woj, Shams, and Chris Haynes there. Then we'll have graphics for players if they sign, re-sign. We'll have a ticker that scrolls along the bottom that shows signings, and then we'll have our cameras. That is the graphical stuff we're going to be doing. So in those tweets should update like immediately, so you guys will be able to see when they tweet stuff out just by watching our stream. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing to be able to do. And we'll break down everything. So I feel like that's the number one spot to tune in for free agency. You know, it's not like the draft where the draft you have ESPN that you can watch. You don't really have like, I feel like this is just the best coverage you'll get for free agency. So hope you tune in later today. Got to plug that because I want to see all 469 of you in there. Yeah, because we'll probably get off in like 15, 30 minutes. I gotta run and get some energy drinks. I want my energy to be popping, bro. I don't like being tired on stream. It's rare. But are we 2 contenders if we get Ibaka and another wing? I don't think we need another wing. Are we 2 contenders if we get Ibaka? I wouldn't say true contenders. I think we're borderline in that scenario. Probably top 4 team. I'm not a huge fan of Kanter as the backup center, but I'm not against it either. Shout out Bryce Tenney, $10 donation. I'll answer that question after Eric makes this point.
So my thing with Ibaka, though, then we have Ibaka and Collins at our power forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
But both of them can play center, so Kanter might not even play that much, or it might make him expendable again in another trade.
Yeah.
So, like, if Kanter's not getting the job done, we can just have Ibaka or Collins be our backup center. It's not. So that's a home run to me. And Ibaka and Collins can both play power forward, so it kind of fits the way we've been trying to run our offense and stuff lately as well. So I think we would be contenders with an Ibaka and a Kanter. And obviously this is predicated on re-signing Hood and him being somewhat close to what he was in previous years as well. But
Ibaka would be an ideal signing. Thank you, Bryce, for the donation. Because you asked what the ideal signing would be.
At this point, now that we got Kanter, I would pick Millsap over Ibaka, I think.
Really? I'd probably still go with Ibaka.
I mean, I'd be fine with either one, yeah.
He's just better offensively. My number 1 signing isn't that realistic, but I would like Christian Wood. Christian Wood would be dope. I'd rather have him over Millsap and Ibaka. And maybe he has to settle for mid-level exception money. I don't think that's likely, but it is, I don't know. Maybe that could happen. Christian Wood on the Blazers would be great, I think. And he could potentially be like our like third 20-point per game-ish scorer, depending on how many minutes he gets. And Christian Wood, I think, is a solid defender. Michael Class, $10 donation. He gonna pay for my energy drinks. Appreciate it, bro.
What's up, Michael Class? How you doing, man?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go chug some monsters in a little bit because I stayed up working on them graphics and then struggle falling asleep. If I'm on the computer all night and then try and go to sleep after that, it's kind of tough. But yeah.
Jerry, yes.
Olshey messing on my sleep.
Both Tori and I have been high on Christian Wood since before he even broke out. Tori a little higher than I was, but I mean, that was a guy who was available for minimum contracts the last couple of off seasons, and no one picked him up, and Detroit just retained him, and he blows up towards the end of the season once they trade Drummond. But the problem is, that's the kind of guy in this free agency market where there aren't really any stars who's capable of becoming a lot more than he is. So those kind of guys are going to get paid in free agency. We don't have a chance. Tori was just listing his ideal one. He said it's unrealistic. So the fact that you're saying that you said that and we told you it was unrealistic, Tori just said that too. So
Phoenix and Blaze says, thanks for taking Enes Kanter. He was a pain in the ass. Big weight lifted off our shoulders. I mean, I understand why Boston didn't want him, considering they got Tice and Robert Williams, who I think are just as good of him. Probably better fits, too. But Enes Kanter was the starting center when we made the Western Conference Finals, so we've shown that we've been able to properly utilize him. That guy has a check mark next to his name. That guy's famous or something. But yeah, so solid little cap dump by Boston. We have to wait and see what happens with Gordon Hayward and them. Maybe I don't know. Boston's in an interesting situation with Gordon Hayward and his free agency and him opting out and supposedly not wanting to be there. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, this saves them $5 million for a guy that they didn't really need. And also, we got rid of Mario Hezonja, who's a bigger pain in the ass than Enes Kanter is. So I'm not tripping about that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, too, I mean, we're not expecting him to be our starting center or anything. He's, like, at best, like, our 8th or 9th man on this team. So I think that's a solid move. We get a cheap center. We needed a backup center. I did not want to re-sign Whiteside. So this goes back to we're gonna have to talk about this at some point during free agency, but um, we'll keep harping on this because it's still a mess up, and the fact that we're not going to keep Whiteside now and we didn't trade him at the deadline and use that as an asset means we lost him for free, and that's or we lost him for nothing, and that's I think Olshey's biggest screw up over the last 2 years.
Yep. Shervin's have apparently the carpet leading to the plane is that of a Miami company, so people are saying Ibaka to Miami. Bro, people are gonna run with this, man. That's the thing, is if I was Jason Quick, I'd retweet that Ibaka tweet too, even if I didn't know anything, just to get fans talking, almost even to troll fans a little bit. Ibaka to Miami doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but I don't know.
It does, but so I know they can use their mid-level exception or whatever.
Because they don't have their full, do they?
I think, well, they could either have a ton of cap space or, like, no cap space, because they have, like, a huge cap hold on, like, Crowder and Dragic, and I think Myers. I doubt they're going to re-sign Myers, but that's a lot of money tied up to those two guys, where if they just release them, they could get cap space, but then you lose two key players on your team, you know? So I expect them to sign those two guys to big one-year deals and then use their full mid-level exception. I think they would still have it. So, yeah, they could be in play for a guy like that.
Yeah. This Serge Ibaka plane thing is reminding me of the Festus Ezeli thing. You remember that?
Yeah.
I don't know how many of you guys watch or remember that. Blazer fans would probably be the only people to remember that, but the whole Festus Ezeli thing was interesting. It was kind of similar. I don't really remember the details, but it was kind of similar. Hopefully, if we did get Ibaka, it would turn out a lot better than the Festus Ezeli thing, because that guy never even played. But yeah, I'm not going to read too much into it though. Ibaka would be great.
People's asking what's going on with the Ibaka situation. So Jason Quick, a longtime Portland beat writer, was saying that, or retweeted a picture of Ibaka on a plane saying, "I'm on my way to ... And then Casey Holdall then tweeted, "Oh boy," or something like that. Yeah, so...
Cal Wilson says, we never signed Festus Ezeli. Ezeli never existed. Man, then why was his dead money on our cap for many years?
It's off now.
Is it? That's good, because, my goodness, that was a waste. Anything else happen NBA-wise? I am kind of keeping tabs with that. I just tweeted that out. There's really nothing else. Portland has been maybe one of the most active teams outside of draft night. Probably the only team outside draft night to make 2 trades. Since Milwaukee's 2 trades is only 1.
Everything I'm hearing is that AD is waiting for like a week to decide if he wants to, and not if he wants to re-sign, but he's trying to decide what kind of contract to sign for, which is stupid because I hate this, because the same thing happened with Kanter the first time he was here. It's like, you've known for months, ever since you were traded to the Lakers, what the situation would be. You were going to opt out, and you knew you were going to have to decide whether you wanted to sign like a one year plus a player option, or a 2 year plus a player option, or just a 4 year max, or whatever. Like, you've known that for a freaking year and a half now, pretty much, that you were going to have that decision whenever free agency hit. Like, how do you need a week after free agency starts to make that decision? Or like in Kanter's case, Kanter and his agent should have known exactly the max amount Portland could offer him. So when we call him when free agency opens and say, hey, we offer you this, you have this amount of time to accept or not, I'm sorry, that's the deal. Like, you knew how much money we had. And he's like, wait, why are you rushing me? I want to make my decision. It's like, dude, shut up. Like, you've known the decision you had to make. Like, if you haven't made it by now, then sorry, but see you later. The Lakers can't do that with AD, obviously. But then I see a good old Brian Windhorst, mega insider, he's like, AD is expected to sign a max extension the minute free agency starts or whatever. Like, okay, like we'll see who's right there, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's not you.
Dame tweeted out, "Life is short and it's beautiful when we learn to let stuff go, especially when it's not benefiting either side." He tweeted that 5 minutes ago. I assume that's in reference to Enes Kanter and that whole situation last free agency.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. Portland, even if it's a Paul Millsap, I'm happy with a Paul Millsap. I want one of Gallinari, Millsap, Ibaka, and Christian Wood. None of those guys are like likely by themselves, but I'm hoping that it's likely that we'll get one of those four. I'm hoping that's likely we'll get one of those four. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe we strike out. If we get a Crowder instead, I'm going to be disappointed. Here, okay, let me just touch on this real quick, man. Seeing people, especially media people, who hated on Al-Farouq Aminu and his shooting, seeing them beg for Jay Crowder kind of triggers me. Because they're literally like the same exact, like, Crowder's a little better defender, but Crowder is not a better three-point shooter than Aminu was. Like, he's exactly the same as a three-point shooter. But
so everyone's like, he shot 45% or something in Miami once he got traded there. In like, he played like 20 games, only started 8 of those.
Yep.
And then you look at his playoff numbers. He played 21 games, all starts and major minutes. And he went back down to 34%, which is his career shooting percentage from three.
Which is not what Aminu would shoot for us.
The perfect 3-and-D player. Aminu was better than that, yeah. And I understand Crowder's a good defender, but, like, yeah, to your point, all these people went crazy when we had good defenders, but they weren't great offensive players. And I know Crowder fits in a little bit within the concepts of an offense maybe, but Crowder jacks up threes too. He's not going to stop shooting. Someone said, but Aminu keeps jacking him up. Like, that's not true. I'm guarantee you there are attempts per game. Crowder's probably more for his career. Anyways, I just feel like, I don't know. People see like one game. It's the same thing with Jeremy Grant a little bit. I mean, he's a better player than Crowder, but like people see him like hit a couple threes and have a good quarter in the Western Conference Finals, and then they're all of a sudden like, oh my God, we got to get Jeremy Grant. He's the best player ever. And then they don't realize that he's like a horrible rebounder. He's a good defender, but like he doesn't shoot very well other than, he shot a decent percentage from three. And then then if you look at his percentages for the entire playoffs, they're not good at all. But then like people just see those like one game and go crazy. But yeah,
you got Smog in the group chat cross-checking pictures of NBA team planes against the one that Serge Ibaka was walking into. He's saying, okay, it's not the Miami plane, it's not the Toronto plane. So process of elimination. Let's figure out what plane that is. Yeah, Smog, if you're watching, I'm gonna need you to keep cross-checking planes for me, bro. This you could be our plate expert, our channel's plate expert, bro. We're gonna go all in on try to get the scoop just by new school methods. We're gonna check planes. Go find a plane tracker and see if you can find it on there or something. Try and find a serial number or something. Let's do some detective work, bro. I'm excited for this free agency stream though. If you just tuned into the stream, we're gonna do a free agency stream starting in 45 minutes. It's gonna be a separate stream. We're gonna have cool graphics. We're gonna break down every signing. We're gonna have the Twitter feeds of Woj, Shams, and Chris Haynes up on the screen, updating automatically. So you guys will be able to see their Twitters update by the second. On our stream, we're going to have graphics for players that sign. We're going to have a ticker along the bottom of the screen with signings that have already been confirmed. So your number one spot for this free agency for day one is going to be right here, this channel. Make sure you subscribe so you get that notification, or just check back here on this channel in 45 minutes. We're going to take like a 30-minute break, 30 to 45-minute break whenever we wrap up this stream. And then we'll be live again, so we hope you hop in there. If you have friends looking for an NBA free agency stream or something like that, share it with them. Help us out.
We
If you
appreciate
want.
any retweets on Twitter. If you have the link, share it on
Yep.
there and stuff like that. We really appreciate you guys, and it's been a really fun week with basically hanging out with all you guys every day. So we appreciate all of you.
Yeah, I'm getting too used to streaming to like 400, 500 viewers. I need to not get used to that. Pedro says, I've been a fan of the Blazers since I was 11 years old. I'm very proud to belong to this great community. I've dreamed a dream of the day when we win the championship. Greetings from Portugal. Shout out to Pedro from Portugal. It's always cool to like cross countries off. It's always cool when people say they're from a completely different country. It's awesome to be able to give you guys like Blazers content across the world, because a lot of like our local coverage, it's hard to get across the world. Our local TV coverage, it's only local, so that's the cool thing about YouTube. We can broadcast wherever we want, so yep. We have people watching in many different countries. We appreciate our worldwide support. That makes us sound cooler than we actually are, but we appreciate our international support.
What's up, Bruce Davis? Isaac, we actually might be able to use our biannual exception now too. Shaquille says, Blazer fan from Jamaica. What's up, man? And then NBA Forever is saying, I thought signings don't start till Sunday. The signings can start today, or the agreements, so you can start contacting free agents. You can't officially turn it in and welcome the players to the team until Sunday.
That's when they become official, basically. Yeah. But they can become unofficial. They can become unofficial today, and they can become official on Sunday. You weren't supposed to be able to talk to free agents until 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, 1 hour from now. You weren't supposed to talk to free agents. That's why the whole like Bogdanovich sign and trade thing kind of fell apart and was confusing and all that. That's why that didn't happen with it being leaked a while ago. So, yeah, we... stuff will leak.
0409, hi Tori, watching me from Argentina. What's up, man?
Wow.
Someone's watching from Poland. Lillard 93.
Levi says he's from Belgium.
Java's, of course, from Nicaragua. What's up, Java?
Hey, Java.
Yeah, a lot of international. Hannah London says UK here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's awesome to see that. But yeah, so usually in the past, so up until I think it was 2 years ago, it used to be a full week until you couldn't sign him, and that's why you had a situation like with DeAndre Jordan signed with Dallas 1 year from the Clippers, and the Clippers like went to his house and basically locked him in there and wouldn't let him leave until he agreed to like go back to the Clippers, and so he ended up like backing out of his deal and stuff. So I like the 2 days because it's a lot less likely for that to happen. But last year, I think they kind of condensed it down to like 3 or 4 days, but there's always been a moratorium between when free agency opens and the new league year opens to when you can actually make deals official.
Yep. Is Smog watching? I don't know if Smog's watching. Somebody just tweeted me saying, yeah, Serge Ibaka's plane is somewhere in here, and I'm going to need Smog to find it for me, man. Do some like time stamp correlation or something. Yeah.
Yeah, of course I remember the Marshawn Brooks saga, Caleb. I don't know why. How do GMs of like NBA teams? You only get to have 30 of them, so you'd think that you were like very skilled to get an NBA GM job. You see stuff like the trade for the wrong Brooks from Memphis, and then you see today or earlier in the week the sign and trade go crazy where they don't even talk to the person they're sign and trading before they try to trade them. It's just like, how are teams so stupid? I don't know.
You know what I love is that like the people that don't really know the CBA or in like what goes into GMing a team love to hit on Olshey. They're giving him too much credit for like turning Mario Hezonja specifically into something. We didn't get Enes Kanter because of Mario Hezonja. We got Enes Kanter because Boston didn't want to pay him, and we had a trade player exception that could absorb his salary and take him on. But I see a lot of people on here that like normally hit on Olshey that don't really understand like GMing, saying like, man, Olshey got Enes Kanter from Mario Hezonja. Like, he's so good. It's kind of backwards from what the normal conversation is.
And the thing is, I would not like this trade as much if we didn't get rid of Hezonja. The fact that we got rid of Hezonja without giving up like an asset or cash or anything to do so, I think is a home run in my opinion.
Yeah.
We're hoping, like we talked about that too, like the Ilyasova trade or the Bielitsa trade, we could give, or like if we signed and traded for Harkless or whatever, we could give them back a Hezonja. So yeah, I think getting rid of his, and it's not just because like Hezonja probably wouldn't have mattered this year unless Stotts was really stupid, but like the thing is, he was probably going to be like the 15th man, and if not, like I don't know how he would have played unless there was major injuries. So it wasn't like a huge deal. But the thing is, we got an extra roster spot now, so we can sign someone else, one of those fringe type players that you always talk about. Now this is going to come where it's key to look into trying to find that next guy like a Kendrick Nunn or a Duncan Robinson.
He's going to sign Dragan Bender.
Yeah.
Yay.
Don't do that. But that's where you go. Now we have a spot because we were going to run into roster spot issues maybe. But now we have an opportunity to sign a guy like that, or maybe like if you wanted to bring Horde and bring in a different guy on your two-way or something like that. So yeah, you just got to find the right mix of guys. I would definitely go for like a younger, more unproven guy than just a guy who just needs a change of scenery or whatever. But yeah, Scal's a free agent. We can maybe bring him back now with the biannual exception. I wouldn't be.
Scott would be kind of dope. Scott would be kind of dope. But yeah, I don't know. I wonder how we're going to fill out this roster. It's going to be curious. It's going to be interesting to watch. Because right now we have 9 players under contract, correct? 10 with Hood. 9. 10 with Hood if we resign Hood.
10 with Hood, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So 10 with Hood if we resign Hood. Say our mid-level exception signing, that's 11 players. Thing is, we have a fully set rotation with only 11 players on the roster. Say we resign Gabriel, that's 12. Resign maybe it's Ellaby and Horde or something like that. I don't know. I'm just kind of curious. But Ellaby, I think we should put on a 2-way contract. Maybe sign Horde to the roster. We still have a roster spot we need to fill. We'd probably fill both of them, honestly, considering we have room to spend. So like we still have a number of different avenues in roster spots to utilize. So
I've seen a lot of this in the chat too. Hezonja is not going to Boston. He's going to Memphis. So Boston fans wondering how Hezonja will do on Boston. You don't have to worry about that. Yeah.
Doesn't Memphis have Tolliver too? I think he's a free agent now.
A free agent, yeah, but they did left.
But
they got our 2 scrum signings.
Yeah, they could have Hezonja and Tolliver. Dope, man.
Oh yeah, that's your bad, Tori. You said ship Mario Hezonja to Boston in the title. That's all right. We're about to end this stream anyway. So.
Oh my coughing. Oh my goodness. There, I'll fix it.
Gosh, Tori.
Man, you were supposed to correct that earlier, Eric. I was testing you. You failed.
I didn't even see it.
Yeah. So yeah, we will be streaming live at 2:45, a new stream. It'll be our free agency stream with some dope graphics and stuff. Hope you tune in. Just got to plug that for anybody new in here because there's probably a lot of people just randomly clicking on this and tuning in for the first time. Do you guys think we'll have money to resign Gary Trent Jr. next year? We're not going to focus on that right now. That's a whole, we'll focus on that of, in the middle of next season, all right?
We can go over the cap to re-sign him. We'll have his full bird rights. We can sign him up to a max contract. So it's not about having the money or not. It's just about whether we. Yeah,
I'm not gonna worry about next year's free agency until after this year's free agency. But that hasn't even started yet.
All right, we'll see you guys in a little bit. And really appreciate anyone pumping up our stream on social media or anything like that. We'd love to have some records set today, and we're just gonna have a lot of fun. It's just chill, laid back, talk about how the signings affect each team and what we think of them and all that stuff. So we'll be live here in 30 to 45 minutes.
Yep, that'll be over on this channel, not our streaming channel, not any other channel. This channel, our main Blazers channel right here. Follow us on Twitter at ToryJonesYT for me, at HoopsJock for Eric, at Blazers Uprise YT for the channel. I just commented them right there. I'd appreciate a follow. That'd be cool. Other than that, nothing else to plug. We'll be back in like 35 minutes. I'll be like 3 monsters down and hopefully more awake.
Hopefully Tori will have.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm excited for it. I don't even got nothing else to plug. I'm not going to drag on this intro. We'll catch you then. We'll be back in a little bit. Hope you tune in. Hope to see you then. Until then, as always, peace out.